drama queens and heroes acting out there on a silver screen. Come grab a seat, popcorn is on me.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Hello, welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. Noel and Thomas Manning II here, hanging out with this part of the show anyway, with Darryl Mansel, the Duke of Danger, right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Good to have you, man. Always good to see you. Glad to have you back. I appreciate you being willing to come back from time to time and just chat films with me.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. Anytime the bat signal is put out there, I will always show up. So for Commissioner Noel.
Heck yeah, man. Well, you had an early media screening for a Scorsese film, and I'll let everybody know. I got invited to L.A., but they weren't paying my way this time. And so last time when I went to L.A. for a Scorsese film, it was The Irishman a few years ago, and they offered to pay my way. I'm like, yes. But this time they're like, you can come, but you got to put up the money. I'm like, nah, I appreciate it. And I did not get a chance to see the early screening in Charlotte, the Charlotte area, because I had some dental work done, and I didn't think anybody wanted to hear me screaming in the theater. And so I reached out to my film critic friends and said, okay, who do we know that's seen this? And your name came up. Yeah. And so I said, Darryl, hey, you want to talk to us about this? And you said, yes, absolutely. So glad to have you. I'm really, really happy to hear you talk about this film. That the buzz out there, some of the buzz, I'm just going to read one little thing. This comes from New York Times. Killers of the Flower Moon is an unsettling masterpiece. And so I'm hearing that word masterpiece thrown out there quite a bit. And Scorsese, a legend, of course, but you always wonder as film directors and those behind the cameras age, you wonder, are they still going to be able to maintain our expectations? And so I'm happy to have you here talking to us about Killers of the Flower Moon, based on a true story and based on original work as well.
Yeah, you're talking about some of our classic legendary directors getting up there in age, and do they still have the juice? And it seems like where Scorsese is now in his career, he's not quite at the peak of his powers, but he's just right below that. He's still at his mid-late 80s or whatever it is, still churning out hit after hit after hit, and Flower Moon is no exception at all. It is definitely a masterpiece. The more I think about it, the more I love it.
So what is it in your observation brings this to a masterpiece level? What makes it such a significant and impactful film for you?
It's one of those where everything in the stew is the perfect amount, I think. It's set in the bedrock of an absolute necessary story. I think in this era where some of the seedier parts of American history are trying to be covered up a little bit, a story like this is necessary to tell you, hey, to get to where we are now, we weren't so great in the past. It's that bedrock with Marty's direction. Everybody is acting at the top of their game, because you always have to give credit to Thelma for the editing of this movie. Is at its 3 hours and some odd length, does not feel like that 3 hours and some odd. You are hooked, you are engaged all the way through this story.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because the runtime is a long runtime, and I was going to ask, okay, does it feel long? But sounds like the pacing was perfect for you.
It really was. It really was. It seems like in his later years, he's just trying to get all of it out there on screen. We saw that with The Irishman. We saw that with Silence. It seems like he's in this era where he's like, I got a story to tell, and I'm going to take all the time I need to tell this story. And he certainly does here. And it doesn't breeze by. I don't want to give that conception. But you're so invested in what's going on that you don't really feel that length.
Well, and I love that he is at a point, and he has been for a while, that he gets to call the shots and basically, hey, I'm giving you the director's cut. Here you go. Here's what I want this to be. If you want to see it, fine. And if you don't, hey, that's fine too, because as you said, he has a story he wants to tell. He does share screenwriting duties on this with Eric Roth. So talk about that part of it, the story aspect of it. Do you feel that it shines as well?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's based off of the novel from David Gran. There's the author, and it's got all those elements of truth with a little bit of fiction mixed in. But what it weaves a tapestry of a time in this history of ours where we really don't have a whole lot of stories to talk about, and what they've managed to do with the themes of power is what Marty keeps going back to over and over and over again. And toxic men. He's been telling us about toxic men and their quest for power and the broken parts they leave behind for 40 years now. And this is yet another one of those stories that he's done so wonderfully.
Yeah, wonderful cast as well. We knew that they would shine, that they would be there. We expected that to happen, and you've got that again with De Niro and DiCaprio. Any surprises for you from any surprises, positive or negative?
Yeah, I mean, Lily Gladstone, you'd heard the buzz coming out of festivals, and this is something to watch. Knowing that going in, I was still blown away by her performance. You kind of know what you're going to get with Leo and Marty, and Leo still manages to... He plays something he hasn't quite played before, which was interesting to watch, and it's just always good to see Scorsese work again with De Niro. Brendan Fraser doesn't get a whole lot of time, and it's one of those like, man, I wish we really would have got a lot more Brendan Fraser. But what little time he has, 2-3 scenes maybe, he shines.
Excellent, excellent. So who should see this film?
Oh, that's a very good question. If you are a fan of Marty, you know that Marty kind of makes two different kinds of movies. He'll give you your electricity with your Goodfellas, or with your The Departed, or with your Wolf of Wall Street, or he'll give you those slower contemplative movies like your Silence or your Irishman. I feel like if you're more a fan of those electric type movies, if you're a Goodfellas person, a Casino person, this might be a little bit slow for you. But if you were willing to sit there and ride with that movie like your Silence, or even your Age of Innocence, this is going to be a vehicle for you. Okay,
and it is a movie you need to invest yourself into. From a time standpoint, 3 hours, 26 minutes is the official runtime. So just be prepared for that. But it is an investment. And I say that with any film. Any film is an investment, whether it's 90 minutes or 3 hours and 26 minutes. So a film like this that is a story that needs to be told, as you said, and Scorsese wants to tell these stories to make us think, to make us maybe look back and remember. You've got to be willing to take the time to invest yourself into it. So any final comments before you give a rating for this?
Yeah, like I said, any movie is an investment. The question is whether or not that investment pays dividends. This movie pays its dividends, definitely.
Marvelous. So what is your rating? And remember, report card rating A to F, or A plus to F.
I'm going to give this, I got to give this an A plus. I have to.
Wow, amazing.
Yes.
A plus for Killers of the Flower Moon. You can find that in theaters now, and excited to be able to have this wide release in theaters. Darryl Mansel, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. And we're going to switch studio setups here because from what I understand, Thomas has an interview with someone connected to the film Killers of the Flower Moon. So Thomas, you there, man?
Hi, and welcome into Meet Me in the Movies Open Dialogue. This is Thomas Manning, and recently I got to take part in a junket interview with Julie O'Keefe, who is the Osage Costume Consultant on Killers of the Flower Moon, the new Martin Scorsese film. I really appreciated Julie's perspective on this. Julie is a member of the Osage Nation, so hearing her speak about just the authenticity and just the passion that went into her work on this film and the work of everyone on this film, I really appreciated what she had to say. So thank you again, Julie O'Keefe, for her time as we speak about Killers of the Flower Moon. Hope you enjoy. Well, Julie, it's wonderful to meet you, and I really do appreciate your time today.
So nice meeting you, Thomas.
Definitely. And I'll go and head right into it. And I'm curious if you can think back to that initial moment when you heard that this film was being made and that this story was being told, and how your emotions evolved from that point into the process of working on the film and being part of the production.
Well, I had a shop called the Cedar Chest in Pahaska, and David Gran, when he was doing his research, came down to the shop. He came down with Catherine Redcorn, who is a relative, and so I really was able to have conversations and understand the level of research that David was doing on the book. So I was aware that once it hit the New York bestseller list, that he was, going to be looking at selling the rights and what have you. So I knew that it would be coming, but I didn't really think so much about working on it. I am a native art consultant in what I call my real life, even though I'm thinking this is my real life now. But but I had gotten a call from Chief Standing Bear of the Osage Nation, and he really said to me, "Are you putting together your information and your resume?" And I said, "Oh, Chief, I really don't know. I've got something that I'm already doing with First Americans Museum in Oklahoma City," and all of a sudden, he said, "No, I really think that you should consider this." And so I went ahead and put my resume in, and then COVID happened, and I didn't hear anything. So I get a call really in March from Jacqueline West's team, and so I went in on the first day to kind of see, what it was, what everything was about. And when I walked into her studio, because there's so many different layers and so many different reasons why we wear our clothing. And so I walked in and I saw thousands of photographs, and this was just of the Osages, set in these storyboards, really setting it up with the traditional, and then with modern with a blanket, and this would be for a man or a woman, and then and then basically modern with a blanket. And so she was really breaking these out, and because of that, I really understood that she got us. She understood us, and she was giving it the level of authenticity that we would be expecting as a nation. And so we dove right in together and really sat down and looked through. She had home movies that she was looking through. The Osages at that time in the 1920s, other than the royal family, were the only ones who could afford to have home movies. They were $1,800 a minute. And so she went through all of those, and then we started collaborating. And I started really showing there are 6 different ways a woman can wear a shawl or a blanket. And then there are at least 4 different ways that a man can wear a blanket. So really showing and educating everyone on why we would be doing this and for whom.
And I know that for you as the costume consultant on this film, you were one of many different consultants on the film that worked in different areas. So what was your relationship like with the other consultants, and how was that collaborative experience of bringing together all of your specialties and telling the story?
Well, each one of us worked in a different department, and of course all those consultants are work within our cultural center, and they're all experts in their own right. And of course we're coming together as a people, as the Osage people, coming in to bring them our very best for our representation and for our voice. And so I have to say that I was very grateful in the sense that Martin Scorsese wanted and has set a bar now, where he's bringing in the voices of the Osage Nation. But I'm really hoping in the future that all directors, when they're telling these type of stories and including different nations, that they bring in their cultural people and all of their experts to do this, because it really allows for an authentic representation.
Well, Julie, again, it was a privilege to meet you and speak with you today, and I really do appreciate your time. And hopefully, we get another chance in the future to talk about some of your other work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me today.
Of course. Have a great day.
You too.
Hi, I'm Nikki Bliss Carroll, your host for Cleveland Connections, the show that explores what's happening at Cleveland Community College. Join us as we sit down with members of faculty and staff to discuss programs of study, upcoming events, and other exciting campus news. We'll have a new show for you each month on C19 TV, or you can stream us online at C19.TV. Tune in and connect with Cleveland Community College on Cleveland Connections.
Hey, I'm David Allen, back as Armchair Quarterback host for 2023.
I'm Guy Suttle from C19 TV Sports.
And I'm Rob Roop from KTCBroadcasting.com.
What's in store on the gridiron for 2023? Each week we look at all 4 Cleveland County High School football teams, Burns, Crest, Kings Mountain, and Shelby. We will look at what happened the week before and look ahead at what's coming up this week.
And we'll also discuss ACC, SEC, and Gardner-Webb college football.
And of course, the NFL and those Carolina Panthers.
So don't miss another great season of football right here on Armchair Quarterback on C19 TV and online at C19.TV.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch us?
Hello, welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies. Thomas Manning joining us after that wonderful interview. Really appreciate you taking the time, Thomas, to bring that to us. I know that you've been enjoying the opportunity to do those kinds of things. And let me be the first to officially welcome you on the air to the Critics' Choice Association. You are now an official member, and you were just recently announced that you have been accepted into the fold. So congratulations, man. It's a great honor, and I know that you're excited to be a part of this. You've been connected to it for a long time, and now you're a member. So congrats.
Yeah, this is actually the first I've heard of this, so I appreciate you letting me know. But yeah, it's nice to no longer just be connected with an association, but now I'm officially associated with an association. So it's been a long time coming. I've been working hard for it for quite a while, and there have been some times where I didn't know it was going to happen, but here we are, and I'm very grateful for the journey. So
yeah, well, welcome aboard. We're glad to have you, and it's well earned, Thomas. Well earned. Well, there's a film you got a chance to check out an early screening for, and is available now. Amazon Prime Video. You can check this out. Tommy Lee Jones and Jamie Foxx. It's not Jamie Lee Curtis. Or Daniel Kim, or anybody else that's got 3 names, or Daniel Dye Kim. It's none of those, but it's Tommy Lee Jones and Jamie Foxx, The Burial.
Yeah, all right, so you're calling me out a little bit. Last week, there were probably 3 different times I was trying to tell people about this movie, and I said, it has Jamie Lee Foxx and Tommy Lee Jones, and they were like, who is Jamie Lee Foxx? There is no Jamie Lee Foxx. So yes, I'm sorry. I always get confused with people have multiple names. Like, I get confused between Neil Diamond, Neil Patrick Harris, and Lou Diamond Phillips. So yeah, I have a poor track record with people with. I mean, it's a wonder I haven't gotten you confused with Noel Thomas Manning II and Noel Thomas Manning III. But anyway.
Well, you get it genetically, man, because you know how I have problems with names. Mine normally relate to movies that have a "the" or an "a" in front of it, but I got The Burial correct for this particular film.
You certainly did. So yeah, it's The Burial, and this is written and directed by Maggie Betts with a story by Doug Wright. And it's loosely based on an article from the New Yorker in 1999, so based on a true story. And it really is an excellent 90s film that just so happens to have been made in 2023. And it's a legal drama, and part of the timeline runs parallel to the O.J. Simpson trial as well. So it's during that period in American culture, and it does star. As we mentioned, Jamie Foxx and Tommy Lee Jones. And, it's like the type of film that was once a Hollywood staple, but it's kind of faded from the spotlight over the past quarter century or so. And it's a story that, just as much as it's about corporate corruption and greed, it's also about friendship and brotherhood and compassion and looking out for your neighbor. And the relationship between the characters of Fox and Tommy Lee Jones, that's really that's the glue that holds it all together. So Jamie Foxx plays this lawyer named Willie Gary. He's extremely charismatic. He's also a preacher, a pastor, and then Tommy Lee Jones is his much quieter, subdued self, and he plays a funeral home director named Jeremiah O'Keefe, and their dynamic and just the depiction of that relationship is so sincere, and it also doesn't dance around some of the friction between them and some of the disagreements, and there is a point in the narrative where it looks like they're going to go their separate ways and things just aren't going to work out, and their character arcs are just intertwined in such a beautiful way that brings out this catharsis. And it's a movie that watching it makes you feel satisfied and emotionally fulfilled, but it doesn't take the easy way to get to that destination. And it's just a matter of the narrative and the emotional decisions that are made by the filmmaker and by the actors. They invite the audience to truly feel the same highs and lows that these characters are experiencing.
Wow, sounds just like a beautiful film, Thomas,
Yeah.
and maybe one that was a bit kind of unexpected, one that flew under the radar.
Yeah, like honestly, I hadn't heard a single thing about this movie until I got the screening invite, a week and a half, couple weeks before before I saw it. So I wasn't expecting a lot. I saw a few early reactions from film festivals. It looked like it was getting solid responses, but going in, I didn't quite expect to be moved as much as I was. But it really delivered for me. And another thing about it that just really kind of encouraged me, just for the state of movies and where we are today. So it's a mid-budget, R-rated adult drama, and there's no action set pieces or no car chases, nothing of that nature at all. But the crowd that I saw it with, they were applauding and cheering and they were reacting in ways that you might expect from an audience at a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie. And they're just, and it's just a straight down the middle drama, just about, basically about brotherhood. And that just made me feel, very excited for, our modern audience. And because you and I both had our fair share of bad experiences with modern audiences who don't know how to respond to movies and don't know how to respond to, public screenings. But in this case, I was just, extremely encouraged, and it made me feel very optimistic about what cinematic experiences can be. So
and what they should be. And so the film is called The Burial. People can still find that, I guess, in select theaters, Thomas, or is it just on Amazon Prime now?
So I believe at this point it is exclusively on Amazon Prime. So
okay, and what is your rating for The Burial with Tommy Lee Jones and Jamie Foxx?
Jamie Foxx, there we go. I'm going to give The Burial a solid B+.
Awesome, solid B+ for that film. You can find on Amazon Prime. So Thomas, another, and this was an experience in theaters, but there's one that you got a chance to check out, a 3-hour plus film, and we've got about 5 minutes to kind of cover this. You're a big Swiftie. Anybody that follows you on TikTok knows that. They've seen it. You've actually been in places and people recognized you in different cities, said, hey, aren't you that Swift guy?
Yes, I am.
So in the next 4 or 5 minutes, give us your thoughts on this Taylor Swift concert documentary.
Yeah, so, cat's out of the bag. I am a big Taylor Swift fan, have been for quite some time, and I really don't make any apologies for that. And so Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour concert film, it's a film that captures her latest tour, which she's still currently on, and she's in a bit of a break right now, but it's a tour that's lasted for multiple months and is going to continue next year. And I had the privilege of seeing one of her shows live in Nashville, Tennessee back in May. And for this concert film, filming took place at Inglewood, California, over the course of 3 of her shows back in August, and it was actually really unique circumstances. Special permission was given to this production in the midst of the Screen Actors Guild strike, and it's directed by Sam Wrench, and it takes you over the course of almost the entire 40+ song set list throughout multiple songs from all 10 of her studio albums. And a few of these songs had to be cut from the film due to the runtime. The actual concert itself was 3.5 hours, and the runtime of the film is 2 hours 50 minutes. So I can understand how you had to cut a few, and I know that there were some fans that were a little bit disappointed by that. But just in terms of a pure technical spectacle, it's an incredible concert film experience. And for me, as someone who was there at the concert, and of course, in a stadium that large, there's only so much that you can see and only so much that you can take in. But in a concert film that is designed specifically to show you everything in narrative and cinematic form, you're able to see things that you couldn't have even picked up by being there. And that's something that I really appreciate about watching this again in theaters. And, just seeing everything in ultra crisp quality, and just incredible, incredible, the sound spectacle of it all. And so yeah, Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour concert film experience, breaking box office records, already the most successful concert film of all time. So yeah, Swifties are really good at organizing and showing support for what they're passionate about.
So what is your rating for this, Thomas?
Solid A for the Eras Tour film.
Okay, I've got to ask you, one of the things that Taylor Swift really wanted is for fans to embrace this in the theater as if they were in a concert and have fun, interact with it. Did you have that experience when you saw it? Was there interaction and cheering and singing along? Did you have that experience?
There was some singing, there was some cheering, but not a full-on concert, not people getting up and dancing and stuff, which I'm kind of glad we didn't have that, because that might have been a little bit too overwhelming and distracting. So yeah, but there were other theaters all across the world where they did have those. So I think it really just depended on the crowd you were with. So.
And so it is one of those things that if you want to get up and dance and sing, it's okay. But Thomas would prefer you not to if he's there. That's basically what we're saying right here from Meet Me at the Movies. Thomas, thanks for that. We appreciate your insight. Appreciate having Darryl on a bit earlier talking about Killers of the Flower Moon. He gave that a solid A+ rating, said it is a masterpiece. We appreciate you spending time with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. And if you're doing that through C19 TV, which is the flagship Meet Me at the Movies, we appreciate it. And we always want to thank WGWG for sharing the radio and podcast version as well. And for all of those who take the time to watch, to write, and to just interact with us, we want to thank you so much. Until next time. For Meet Me at the Movies, I'm Thomas. I'm Noel.
You're Tommy Lee Manning, right? Is that right? Yeah.
That's right. That's Thomas Manning. I'm Noel T. Manning II. For this week, that is a wrap.
Until we meet again, next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.